Hello and welcome to this final first look exploring session looking at The Benefice by Robert Wilde. We looked at the first three acts, or shall we say the induction and the next two acts, last time, and now we're looking at the close of the play and basically asking the question. I think the question we sort of came to the conclusion that was the question to answer at the end of the last session is this less than the sum of its parts? It's got some great lines, it's got some great moments, but is it quite holding together overall? What can we do to find a way to make it really land for us today? And there are yeah, I don't want to cannibalize this for spare parts, but I will if I have to. It's got potential, but what that potential is, we haven't quite figured out yet. So, reading today, the person who mostly just after introducing the play has sort of popped his head through the curtain occasionally and just gone. Reading Furor and Epilogue is...
Well, hi, I'm Lynn, and I'm coming to you from the northwestern United States this morning.
Reading Fantastes, who I don't think we've met yet, Hobnail and Ceres, who we have, is...
Lois in London.
Reading Bookworm, Tinker, Sir Homily and Watch Number 1 is...
Brian Myers in Portland, Oregon.
And reading Scuttle and Marchurch, Gypsy and Watch Number 2 is...
Alan in Suffolk.
And
Really confused.
Yes, aren't we all? And I'm your host, Robert Crighton. I will be reading stage directions and any parts I've forgotten to give out now. Because it just occurred to me there were a few characters we encountered in the first half of the play who are not on that list. So I'm curious now as to whether we're going to meet some of our favourites or not. Because I'm disappointed not to see Mar Pudding. Maybe I missed Mar Pudding and got it confused with Marchurch. So we'll see. We'll find out in the next couple of hours. So Act 4, Scene 1, enter Bookworm like a ballad man.
How shall he sing whose throat is hoarse with care, or he keep time whose heartstrings broken are? Alas, how shall I sing that am so much out of tune? I had rather confute Bellarmine, or turn Aquinas into English verse. Now this is better than the mill of school, where they grind grammar toll-free, and the poor master turns round in his accidents till his eyes drop out. Nay, faith, it's better than a parlour lecture, though not so sweet and gainful, where the men with their smooth chin and velvet caps stand damning the tongues, unless the Hebrew escape, because, like women, it doth fall backward. All learning to reprobates is as ungodly as logic, but I shall forget my knacks. Come, new almanacs, new almanacs, new almanacs, new. Who buys an almanac without saint days and ember weeks in it, or any superstitious feast days that end in mass, Christ mass, candle mass? Who buys an almanac with a new chronology of memorable accidents? Since the conquest, 1 year. Since the rising in the north, since Halifax went to the Tower, since Finch and Windibank departed this nation, since Doctors' Commons were enclosed, since the Scots had money. Who buys an almanac with new fairs and with new fairs and markets? As, for example, upon the 31st of February, there shall be a fair throughout all England, at which there will be sold northern cloth that will not shrink, sponges that will not drink. Tradesmen may buy consciences, whores maidenheads, and Frenchmen noses. There will also be tongues tipped with true Latin for attorneys, and pens that will write true English for gentlewomen. Extemporary prayers without tautologies, fellowships for scholars and scholarships for fellows, and benefices so plentiful they shall go a-begging. Come, who buys an almanac? Memorandum, there shall be great eclipses in the star chamber by reason of the happy conjunction of the two houses with Sol. The sea of Rome will be at so low a tide that it shall not come up to Lambeth. There will also be great thunderings among great ones that will cause great lightnings among the subjects, which will clear the air mightily. This year also, lords will have but one lady, ladies but one face. Doctors will preach twice a day, and their curates eat roast meat. Scholars will be all of one opinion, England of one religion, birds all of a color, and Shrove Tuesday will be upon a Monday. But these things will not be seen of us in this kingdom. There will be also strange apparitions, 2 phoenixes, 3 blue beans in a blue bladder, 4 silent women, 6 true tailors, 10 maids at 1 and 20, 12 honest men of a jury. Lawyers will plead for nothing. Poets will purchase land because sack will be at a penny a gallon. Courtiers will pay their debts. May Day will fall on the 12th of August. Come, will nobody buy my almanacs?
Alas, poor scholar, he shall take some money of me. Hear you, friend, what is the price of that book?
But 2 pence, sir.
Sack at a penny a gallon, sayest thou?
Yes.
If this be true, faith I'll quaff burnt sack.
If it be not true, faith burn my almanac.
There's 6pence for 3. Give me the rest in books. Hast thou not pretty knacks?
Yes, here's a cobbler's sermon. I have but one of them of 30 since left since morning. And Father Philip's Philipped, too. New come out.
Well said. Give me them.
Almanacs, almanacs, almanacs. Now, new, let me see. It's cold. I'll go spend my 2pence in the alehouse and hear what news and come again.
And exit. I wasn't going to pause here, but I'm going to pause here because there was a lot I really enjoyed that. Some of that's purely sort of historical interest. There were lots of things where I'm sort of going, since the Scots had money. There were some really nice ones. The great eclipses of the Star Chamber. But I also just like a general one. Scholars will be all of one opinion. I did like that.
England will be one religion.
Yeah. There were lots of nice things, and it's the logic of this bookworm selling almanacs and all of these strange things. Blue beans in a blue bladder. That rings a bell. But we'll come anyway. Etc.
I wonder if it was a famous tongue twister.
It's turned up in quite a few plays, as I recall. So I think it's a thing. I think it's a meme that's bouncing around. Anyway, Alan, we're not lingering long.
Yeah, I mean, it must admit, I think we've hit the early modern Ben Elton. It's got very much that sort of feel of the fast-talking satirical comedian, hasn't it?
And it does feel like this is where, if we're talking about biting satire, as promised earlier, there's some lines in this where I'm going, some of those are a bit fast and loose, aren't they? They're a bit dangerous. I definitely enjoyed quite a lot of that. It's interesting how much of that would land today, but I feel with this kind of thing you could just trim that in previews and decide which jokes work and which don't, just like any stand-up comedian would do. And I think that's actually an exercise I think we can enjoy. Anyway, we're going to move on, and it's not marked, but the next line is almost certainly Furor. Because the bookworm exits and then Furor re-enters or something, because I don't think the bookworm's still on. I don't see dialogue later on, so I'm going to assume that this next line of dialogue should actually be Furor. So God save you.
Okay, God save me. Here comes Fantastes of our college. A petty scuttler, yet a mere animal. He comes for the living too. Faith, I'll sit down a little while and see the issue.
Enter Fantastes like a scholar with one boot russet and the other black.
Alas, here comes another Aristotle in a black cover. His boots are of 2 several opinions, or else 2 several universities, the one of Cambridge, the other of Oxford. God bless him, what a fatal cap he hath on. It looks as if he had served an apprenticeship at the gallows to teach those that are hanged blindman's bluff.
And Fantastes opens his box.
Let me see. My college letters? Oh, safe. My orders? Safe. My petition? Oh, come, I'll read it over once more. First, I must premise 2 legs. That's the least. But how if there should be gentlewomen? I never kissed anybody in a black bag in my life.
What, man, set a good face on it. You are not the first scholar that kissed a lady.
They say they'll turn their cheeks, and then I'll do quid in buccum venerite. I do not remember anything in Aristotle concerning kissing.
Unless in his posteriorum.
Faith, I'll turn and blow my nose if any come by, as if I did not see them. And for my hat, most here thus, or rather thus, nay, better thus, most propitious patron. As I was equitating in these rural dimensions, the intelligence of the vacuity of your worship's ecclesiastical donation did dexterously occur and perforate my oracles, and forthwith gratifying my beast with a measure of pinguifying provender, I did appropriate to your resplendent habitation to impenetrate the beneficial presentation to me, a profound Aristotelian. Sir, a fortune hath not beautified me with mundane promotions, neither have I conglomerated any terrestrial substance, but if you please, with your perspicuous luminaries, to contemplate and perscrute these testifications, you shall be animadverted of my deportment in the Oxfordian Society in my modification for literature. Here is, moreover, in this membrane, with the Ceres assignments, the episcopal assigned to gratify your supplicant, ponderating the premises, you shall vivicate the mortiferous essence of my intellectuals and invocate into this dominical one what that will not contaminate your family, but perprecate the deities for the longitude of their benediction upon your propagation, and remain your incarcerated creature fantastic. There's rhetoric in every word, I'm sure.
In troth, I hope somebody will take him for a conjurer and beat him soundly, or else throw him into jail for coining false English, and then he will be incarcerated indeed.
I fear nothing, but that I come too late. These livings, they're like herrings. They are novelty, but they will not keep long.
I fear you will be a shotten one.
Oh, these scurvy boots. How shall I make them both of a color? I'll black them with the inside of my coat.
Enter Goodman Scuttle.
Indeed. I'm glad that I'm called out of New England. The brethren there do multiply too fast, and the sisters are not plentiful in their benevolence towards us, so as they be here. And then many of them do backside from what I did there deliver to them. Truly, I will quite leave my basket making, unless now and then a cradle for some elect babe. Sure, if I do not get this living, as Marchurch is by report a carnal man, I can by my shorthand and repetition get a competency.
This fellow hath the living's fresh scent in his nose too.
Oh, now, who's this? Nay, as long as he is not in black, I care not. It may be he is some servant in the house. God save you, sir.
God save you? Ha! Truly popery at the very first word. These university men are all in some measure corrupted with it. Though I know I shall be saved, yet he knows not what I am. He might have said the same to some reprobate hellhound. But to him it is popery. I will not answer so vain a word.
Do you live here, I pray you?
Truly this Armenian's business is revealed unto me. He comes about the living as well as I. Being wicked as he is, I ought to deceive him. The church is good. I will die unto him. Yes, sir, I do inhabit here.
Inhabit here? Nay, if you can vary the phrase, have at you. Is the regulator of the domicile segregated from his negotiations, I pray you, sir?
Ah, sir, these popish words become you not. They edify not. If I were to write you a sermon, I have not a character for such words. I pray you speak teachably and plainly.
Is the gentleman of the house at home? Can you tell me?
No, indeed, he is not at home. He is newly rid abroad.
When will he return again?
Not this week, I believe. What's your business, I pray you, with him?
Is his living void, can you tell me?
Thought so. Yea, truly it is void, but it is in vain such as you are to look after it.
Why so?
Why, truly you are a profane man and idolatrous, and can do nothing but with study and popish books. I wonder what you should do at college so long. No good, I warrant you.
What? We read philosophy, logic, divinity. We learn the tongues, Hebrew, Greek, and Latin, to fit us for the church, and all little enough.
Ah, I thought that would be your answer. Does not the Pope the like? I myself preach with you for the living, and he that gives over first shall lose it.
What trade are you, sir? You talk madly. Such as you are have undone us all.
Nay, you vile priest, such as you are, and I intend to get this living. If such wretches as you are get it, you must be a parson and have tithes. No, I'll at composition and stand to their benevolence.
Oh, Dominis, come to this.
Enter Bookworm. Still muted.
I'll set them together by the ears. Come, who buys a ballad? God prosper long our noble king, etc., etc., etc. Who buys a new ballad?
He sings again. This time they give us all the lyrics.
I am confirmed a scholar can be this or that or any man, and Ovid taught all students this to make a metamorphosis. And when he cannot change a groat, he'll turn his skin and change his coat.
Cheers, a scholar. You black coats can be anything, and temporizers. I'll bite of him. Honest man, pray let me have that ballad. Have you anything against bishops?
Yes, sir. This is a little laud in limbo and Lambeth fair, and Rome for a cornered cap, and the character of a bishop.
I shall think the better of you ballad men hereafter. The price of them?
2 groats.
Very cheap. If I get the living, I'll have thee, my clerk.
And you rascal, I'll venture in't. I'll serve your turn.
Nay, sir, I'll give them a character of you, you popeling. I'll be there as soon as you, I warrant you.
They jostle at the door, exeunt Fantastes and Scuttle.
These are brave times. I'll lay £10 the basket maker carries it away.
Exit Bookworm. And we'll stop there. So there are some interesting character studies going on here, and some interesting things. Have you anything against bishops?
Yeah.
I mean, you can just hear him going into the record shop, just going, I'm looking for something sort of anti-papist. What do you have? I had a look in your Christian Rocks rack, and I couldn't see anything. So it's it's odd about these sort of overviewers. You know, that Furor is sort of there, but not really, and then Bookworm comes in again and sort of observes them and then sort of leaves, and it's sort of like their interactions are quite odd, these sort of external to the little sketches that we're getting here with things there. So the structure is quite odd, because I'm liking bits of it. I do like Fantastes' sort of whole the speech that never sort of ends.
That was great.
It's like, there's a lot actually to pull out of that. I think you could spend a long time breaking down the awfulness of that speech.
It'd be hard to memorize.
I think this is where the advantage of you've got a prop comes in.
Yes, it's all written out.
It's all written out. You do not need to learn this bit. Even actually, same logic with the Bookworm earlier. Some of that stuff, he's selling ballads. He's got cheat sheets to hand, so he can cheat as well a bit. So yeah, there's sort of a structural element of cheating in there. What do we think of Scuttle and Fantastes here? Any thoughts? Lois?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I mean, Scuttle is obviously another caricature Puritan, but he's come back from New England. And this is one of the things that did happen at the beginning of the Civil War period. You know, a lot of people who had emigrated to America came back because they thought that there was going to be a sort of a land fit for them to live in again.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Soon to be disappointed. Alan.
Yeah, I mean, interesting. You picked me to do the one, as I'm the only one who's not naturally equipped to do the accent.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
I don't think the accent changed. You don't get handed an accent when you cross the border. You know.
Well,
it's not like we haven't got them in stock. So, Lynn.
Actually, I have heard that when in a language diaspora situation, that the colonies language tends to change more slowly than it does at the center. So theoretically, Americans sound more like English people did 400 years ago than English people do. Theoretically.
Yeah, we got it right.
Well, I think that the rule of thumb is that everybody's wrong, but we're a little bit right in places. The only accent that's fundamentally wrong is basically RP, because it's a construct. It's effectively a construct.
Artificial.
So any accent is better than mine.
But I was going to say that his letter of application, just as a one-time teacher of writing, I just was laughing in my heart, because it's just like he's trying so hard and just getting in his own way with all his Latinate vocabulary. You know, sometimes a nice, foot and a half long word is it is a nice touch, but when like every single noun is some fancy Latinate word instead of the good old English, it's just like, I'll see.
Yeah, I've had writing students too who were convinced that the way you write was to be sure that every word had rhetoric in it.
Yeah.
It is interesting. In a sense, we've just basically had a series of sketches that are thematically linked to the plot, but they're not really moving the plot forward per se. They are referencing things that orbit the plot, but they're not really advancing it. And we've had a couple of songs, and we've got another one coming up in a moment. So it almost feels like this is again, perhaps it's a little palate cleanser thing, just some silliness before we actually get back to interacting with or basically the writer didn't have enough plot. There was only so much plot to sustain this play, but then maybe the plot's a red herring. It may turn out that the plot just doesn't really get a look in again. We shall see. Act 4, Scene 2. Enter a tinker singing.
When Alexander crossed the seas, King Pippin and Diogenes, mulled sack is good to cure the fleas. Tom Tinker lives a merry life, and on the mending hand, a copper nose, a brazen face, he hath at your command. Come, have you any work for a tinker? Have you any bellows or bowls to mend? Any dishes, kettles, or skillets, or old frying pans to mend? Come, I can mend platter faces, or cracked maiden heads, or tipped cuckold horns. Who will buy a brave candlestick? My wares are all sound, but I must make crack of them to make them sell the better. He that useth this candlestick shall do more with a week than any other with a quarter. And he that tells his gold by this candlestick, without ever a candle in it, shall not find it light. I'll warrant this was the candlestick Diogenes sought for an honest man with. I was offered moneys enough for it 2 years ago by an old blade to set upon an altar in his chancel. But now conformity burns and stinks in the socket, and wax candles wax dim and are like to go out in a snuff. Yet it serves a papist to light him to Rome, for the Pope's fires begin to burn blue, and it's thought he wants a pair of tongs to turn up his purgatory bottom cake. Come, who buys it, that the tinker may have some better metal to melt into his ale. He that will chaffer shall have the prolonger into the bargain. Oh, brave prolonger! If patents and monopolies had had prolongers, they had not gone out yet. You that are the lights of the church have extinguishers enow, but your 2 steeples like double-wicked candles want prolongers. Ship money, Star Chamber, High Commission, Michaelmas term, all want prolongers. but I shall prolong the time and take nothing. But who comes here? Ah, another black coat. Sure, here is some carrion hereabouts. I see so many crows stirring. Have you any work for a tinker?
Enter Fantastes.
This is as brave as can be. I'll set him on work now. Jovial tinker, where is the best liquor, huh?
God bless your learning, master. There is good liquor. I never drunk quicker, and if thou'lt follow me, thou'st find chink, and I'll find drink, and so will merry be. Master, will you set a poor tinker at work?
Alas, what work should scholars have for tinkers?
What? Master, will you give me leave? You are but tinkers yourselves, many of you.
As how, prithee?
How? Why, you keep such a hammering of a poor text before you can hit the right nail on the head. And then in stopping one hole, you oftentimes make two.
Oh, thou art a mad blade.
Nay, and none but scholars and tinkers carry all their tools about them to mend this brass and iron age.
Hark thee, Tom, canst fight lustily?
Aye, faith, therein we differ. You blackcoats are cowards, and we are not. Yes, I can play at quarterstaff a little.
Wilt thou be true to me?
Will I not, bully? Hector, try me.
Why, sirrah, here is a living void here in town, and I am come to try my fortune for it. Here, even now, I met with a roguish, snivelling, New English basket maker that does abuse me and all scholars as past. Wouldst thou think that he is gone in here to get the living from us all?
Does he snivel in the nose, master?
Aye, Tom, that he does.
By Jove, I'll sell him a pair of snuffers.
Stand here and watch for him, and search his pockets, and thou shalt see what authors he reads. Look you, there's 12 pence for thee, and meet me half an hour hence at the alehouse, and whether thou speedst or not, I'll give thee half a dozen of ale, and we'll laugh and be merry.
Hark you, master, I'll make him down on his knees and pray for bishops ere I've done with him. Let me alone.
Be sure you pay him soundly, spare him not.
Excerpt Fantastes.
This is handsome. A basket maker get a living. He had best bring a pair of hilts with him. I'll have a bout at wastrels with him. I'll teach him how to baste a pulpit. Ah, here he comes. I'll listen a while what tune his nose is in, that I may mend it.
Enter Goodman Scuttle.
As a very a wicked man as ever I came near. Very reprobate. Not any good word came from him. He must have money. Money. 'Tis 1,000 pities that such good as men as we should be put aside by such carnal and unsanctified patrons.
Have you any work for a tinker? Yo, friend, will you set a poor tinker at work?
Away for Banbury. I'll have no work for such fellows as you are.
Yea, but sirrah, rascal, I'll work for nothing.
Beats him.
No, murder! Will you kill me?
Sirrah, it is revealed unto me that you have a mind to preach and to leave your trade. Thus and thus, and then thus you must thump the cushion.
Beats him.
Come on, you knave. You told never a lie today for the good of the church, did you?
Yeah, indeed, but I'll do so no more. Pray spare my life.
Sirrah, will you lead me to a cup of good ale?
Aye.
And to a pretty wench?
Aye, so it may be private.
And will you love good scholars?
Aye, indeed.
And pray for bishops?
Aye, and archbishops too.
Nay, now I see you are a dissembling knave. I'll have you silenced in faith. You gaped for a benefice. Now gape.
Tinker gags him.
So now let me see what is in your pockets.
Oh!
He feels in his pockets and pulls out a book of characters.
Aye, I'll keep you in awe. How now, what's here? A book of characters. Oh, sir, you write characters, do you? I'll pay you in words at length. Here's good gear indeed. Come on, now get up. So, let me see.
Pins his book on his back.
Come, I'll give you induction. You shall have your orders about you. Come, sirrah, or I'll choke thee.
Oh!
Yeah, exuent, excellent acting of the words and the structurally different the different spellings for the different noises, which I'm sure made a huge difference. What is this about pinning his book on his back? I mean, I'm curious about. I'm assumed that it will be clearer later on, but I'm curious about this book of characters and the pinning on his back. Lois.
Yes, I'm puzzled about why a book of characters should be a problem, because I've read books of characters and they're extremely enjoyable, but they're just, well, they're sketches of typical examples of whatever. But this must be I don't know if he's thinking of a particular one that is heretical, because I think with heresy, one did often pin the heretical publication on somebody. That was when they were doing penance or being led to execution or whatever. They would have to. That may be what's going on here, but
the logic that they're pinning something that's totally innocuous on his back in a sort of mockery of that kind of action for something more serious. Is that sort of perhaps the logic going on here?
Maybe that's what's going on, yeah. Because a book of characters really shouldn't be a problem, but maybe he just misunderstands it. I mean, in fact, it's surprising that he can read at all, given that he's a tinker. I don't know.
He may not be able to read; he just can recognise. Book of characters in the sense he can read letters. In that sense, recognize letters. So,
maybe it is just it's a book with letters in it. Oh, treason! I don't know.
Alan.
I must admit, my immediate thought, without the background knowledge that Lois obviously has, was that the book of characters was simply an alphabet, and it was a copybook type thing. And therefore, the tinker was basically suspicious of anybody who was supposedly literate.
Yeah, I mean, in that sense, they say it's the question of if the tinker can't actually read, and he just sees, he can recognise they are characters, they are letters on a page, and so maybe it's somewhere in between.
It could be, because actually it's a book of characters. Oh, Ceres, you write characters, do you? I'll pay you in words. So that does suggest it's just letters of the alphabet, as opposed to words. Yeah.
Yeah, his ABC. Because otherwise, what is this scene for? It's another scene where someone gets the living daylights beaten out of him, which is obviously hilarious and good fun. It's sort of kind of logic and gagging and etc. So it's interesting. Brian,
I want to echo Lynn's question from chat. What is a purgatory bottom cake? Any idea?
A very bad cake, it's someone who really can't cook properly. It's the worst kind of cake.
Very different from angel food cake,
I genuinely don't know if it's actually a thing or it's just a witticism about sort of poor cooking. Maybe they say it's just not a soggy bottom. It's the equivalent of a soggy bottom.
You can buy devil's food cake.
Yeah.
It's nice on top, but hard going at the bottom.
Yeah.
This does, in a way, have a feeling of a university play.
Yeah.
But in a way, it's really quite hard on education. As a, the tinker is, I think, it's a really fun character. Just like an ordinary man who makes his living with his hands, and like his little analogy about how you pound a text until you finally hit the nail on the head, and when you mend one hole, you make another, and the scholar who has to have a Latinate word for every single substantive and verb in the letter. So I wonder it, because it's I guess it really takes a scholar to mock a scholar properly. But it's I've got one boot from Cambridge and one from Oxford. Yeah, it's making me laugh.
Yeah. Okay, let's go into Act 4, Scene 3. It's interesting having scenes, proper scenes. We haven't really had proper scenes. Each act has sort of mostly been one unit of action. And a sort of hint of returning to the plot again as well. It was like, this Benefice is causing, as a sort of void, is creating all sorts of social problems for everyone who wants access to it. So it's a sort of amorphous plot device in a sense that it's not driving a plot, it's just creating a series of reactions in society to this potential thing that everybody wants. So that's interesting. Anyway, Act 4, Scene 3. Enter Marchurch. Haven't seen Marchurch for a while. Alone.
With the blessedest days that ever came. I think when I was born, all ill fortune was lulled asleep, and the fatal planets were in a swoon. I never saw that wrinkled brow of fortune. A clearer face hath always shined upon my days. Nay, now, just now, when I look to have been branded forever for this same Ursula, I think it was a mask or visitor drawn over the eyes of the world. My servants and people all from home, and Ursula had no sooner spawned, but there comes a gypsy beggar woman to my door, who for 20 shillings took away the bastard with her. I made her a sufficient pass to carry her far enough. In troth, Ursula's was an excellent plot to keep my nephew in awe. If it be possible, I'll marry her off with this living. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 black coats, not a penny amongst them all. I could what's become of Bob? He has paid homily soundly, they say.
And having basically displaced the whole of Act 2's action in one fell speech, Marchurch pulls out a letter.
Here's a letter. Good news, I hope. Some chapman for the living.
He opens the letter. Enter Hob, dressed like a parson, and Homily as his man.
Good's known, Sir Homily. Here's my master.
Peace. You must not call me Homily, but Jack.
Oh, why then, Jack Homily.
Nay, that's worst of all. Call me plain Jack.
Why then, plain Jack. Come, stand close. 15 years old am I, say'st thou?
Pish, I say 50.
50. How many 20s is that?
It's 20 to 1, you'll spoil it all.
Now, come, stand close by me, good Homily. Jack, I would say, you, here. Oh, honest man, harkye me, here. Does not Master Marchurch live here, I pray?
Oh, that's well done.
Good studs, he'll know me.
Lord, ye now. Here's another, that makes 6. Marry, he hath a man waits on him. Yes, sir, Master Marchurch does dwell here. Would you speak with him?
Oh, yea, marry would I. I've come 40 miles to speak with him. Godspeed, plough.
I'm the man, sir. Marchurch is my name.
Jack, must I ask him who gave him that name?
No. Tell him you are a suitor to him for the living.
Why, sir, good e'en to your worship. I hear you have a living in your gift. I's a poor minister, sir, and shall be bound to pray for your worship, and you shall give it me. I'll live like an honest man among ye.
Well, I say you're a mean stranger to me, but by your language you seem to be a northern man.
Oh, yes, sir. I was born in Cumberland and had a good living in the north, I say it. But when the Scots came last year, I was fain to fly and make money of what I had.
Nay, if you have money, have at you, as errant a clown as you are. Why, sir, a Cumberland man, say you? I have a tenant here in town, your countryman. His name is Hob, an honest man.
Constance, Jack.
Sir, I pray you speak louder. Sir, I pray you speak louder. My master is somewhat deaf. He hears you not.
God mercy, Jack. Why, Sir Hob, say you, is his name. There is a famous cudgel player of his name.
I pray you, sir, what may be your name?
What's my name? My name is Richmond. My father was a good gentleman, I'm sure.
And that skill's not worth what your father was. Your own parsonage shows you to be a man sufficient.
Yes, sir, but your parsonage would do it better.
Why, sir, I must needs confess, there is a pretty living in my hands.
Yea, sir. There's something in my hand, too.
That shows him money.
Why, I hope that you and I will shake hands presently. What university are you of?
Oxford.
Have you taken your degrees there, sir?
Degrees? I've spent £100 there by degrees.
Was you ever a fellow of any house?
Yea, marry now and then, fellow of an alehouse.
The canon doth not require anything but you able to speak a piece of Latin.
Latin. Yes, that I can. 20 pieces of better metal than Latin. Hang Latin. It's good for nothing but dripping pans.
You say right. There's a great deal of popery in it. You have no living as yet, sir, I pray you?
No, indeed, sir. You are my first chapman. I've not bidden a penny to any man but your worship. Pray use me well, and you shall have more of my custom.
Marry, and I have another commodity for thee. Thou bear'st not married. How old are you, sir, I pray?
Why, sir, I was 2 20s and 10, 15.
That's nothing. You parsons live long.
Cough and make yourself sick.
Oh, alas, sir, I am old and crazy. Oh, hold my head, Jack. Oh, sick.
Oh, admirably well done.
Oh, I'm so troubled with the coughing of the lungs. It will e'en kill me.
It will ere long. Alas, sir, I'm sorry to see you so sickly.
Pulls out an aquavitae bottle.
Here, sir, I pray you drink a little of this. I never go without my bottle.
Oh, God, thank your worship. It will even fall again into your hands before 7 years come to an end.
Why, sir, because I see you are so sickly and likely to be an honest man among us. Hark you.
And whispers to him.
50 pieces? Mary, God bless us, you would need lend me your aquavitae bottle again. This gangs cold to my heart. 50 pieces.
Aye, 20 down now, and I'll take your word for the rest.
Offer him 20. Offer him 20. Do.
Why will 20 fetch it down now upon the stubs? Here it is in good gold. If I live 20 years more, I give you £10 more if I like my bargain. What, sir? Livings are fallen now.
Truth, I thought mine should never have fallen. These are dangerous times. I shall have some chaplain or other come with the king's title and cozen me, or some mischief if I keep it in my hands. Are you a married man, sir?
No, Mary, not I, sir.
If I use you well, I hope you'll not speak on 'em.
Oh, no, I'd be as mum as a lawyer without his fee.
I hope you'll live peaceably amongst us and not go to law or present any man.
Oh, yeah, Mary, I'll present your worship with a tithe pig or so.
You say well for that. But hark you, sir, you shall owe me 2 or 3 quarters of wheat every Christmas.
No, sir, you shall not catch old birds with chaff. Is it a bargain? Here's my money. Will you strike me luck on't?
Come, give me your hand, Master Parson. It's done. Your name is Master Richmond, you say?
Yea, sir, that's my name.
Well, sir, God give you joy. I will go write your presentation, and about 2 hours hence I will expect you.
Very well. Our horses are at yonder alehouse. We'll come to you anon.
You shall be welcome.
Jack, what's the Latin thing?
Why, gratias ago domine.
Gratias ago homily.
Exit Hobnail, and with homily, Marchurch remains alone.
Bravely have I taken my old blackjack by the ear and trained him. The interest have I got in this verb impersonal. I should have made an hue of crimes from in speech, for the due joining. I should have not found such a participle in Russ. Well, let him be what he will be, as I think he is not guilty of much learning. Let him be a pulpit monger, desk thumper, and circumman breaker, as I think he hath as few new ones as any here. He is able to set out a stave in a psalm right. He is old enough, I care not. I'll humour him till he is saved, and then, mayhap, I may pin Ursula on his.
Nay, rather pin him upon her belly. But if you should geld him as you so begin, he'll be able to do nothing. You have taken away his gold now, and his precious stones will be next.
However, I'm glad I've cracked the flea homily. I'll in and expect my animal.
And exit Marchurch. We're leaving Furor to come forward and sing several verses you don't need to sing.
Okay. I have been a jovial rambler and have traveled many nations. I have seen how men have delighted in several transformations. Yet still I do cry, let them chop, let them change boy, let them turn and never spare. But to see a lurch that's put upon the church, oh, this fetches off my hair. Old Proteus stands amazed to see himself put down. Copernicus did prophecy of us when he said the world turned round. Yet still do I cry, let them chop, let them change boy, let them turn and never spare. But to see a lurch that's put upon the church, that fetches off my hair. Oh God. Your rich men turn to lions, your rich men an ass in fashion. Married wives wear foxskins and their husbands oxskins. Oh, 'tis a juggling nation, yet still do I cry. Let them chop, let them change boy, let them turn and never spare. But to see a lurch that's put upon the church, oh, this fetches off my hair. I have seen a beggar in scarlet made a master of a gaffer.
Would you like a substitution for your song?
I'm going to try to finish this. Made a master of no gentleman bred becomes one of the first head, at which I am a scoffer. Yet still I do cry, let them chop, let them change boy, blah, blah, blah. I have seen a deck of religions packed and shuffled most rarely. The papists in a dump, cause Puritan is Trump, and swears they deal not fairly. Yet still I do cry, chorus. I have been in many a parlor where sermons have been aplenty. I heard a lad can pray both a night and a day, and yet could scarce tell 20. But still I do cry, let them chop, let them change boy, let them turn and never spare. But to see a lurch that's put upon the church, oh, this fetches off my hair. It's the end of the scene.
You're muted, Robert.
I'll do that again. So late onset plot, tidy up. So we have the scene promised of Hobnail and Homily coming in disguise and basically trying to get the Benefice. And there's nice business that we've seen over many centuries now of I am pretending to be someone else. What's my name again? This is your name. We rehearsed some stuff earlier, didn't we? What was it again? Pretend to be sick. How old are you supposed to be? 50. Okay, I'm 15. Pretend to be sick. No, I'm going to die any minute now. It's fixing the plot as you go along. It's really nice stuff. And though in a sense Marchurch dispenses with the subplot in his first speech of going, Ursula's not coming back on again, folks.
Aww.
I've packed her away. It's still sort of running in the background, but it's like, oh, here comes a gypsy beggar woman to my door, just going, right, well, that's nice, that happened. I suppose that was useful, convenient. It would be nice to have seen some of that, but obviously wasn't on the cards for this one, so never mind. Brian?
Maybe I just wasn't paying enough attention beforehand, was too distracted by all the jokes yesterday. But I realized today, in this act, that until we saw this scene, it hadn't even occurred to me to wonder whether there was a candidate for this Benefice that we were rooting for, whether there was an obviously good one or not. Yes, Sir Homily was there before, but he didn't particularly stand out among the others to me. And only now do I begin to guess, oh, I'm supposed to be rooting for him.
Yeah, I agree that he wasn't really clear to be someone we were supposed to want to succeed. And maybe that's still an illusion. Maybe that's not really actually true.
Right.
But yeah, he does seem to be the front runner here, doesn't he? Because he's the center of this particular plot. I did like, have you taken your degrees? Yes, degrees. I spent £100 there by degrees. Boom, boom. Still true today. Lynn.
Yeah, and I kind of hope that Homily ends up with being the de facto parson with Hobnail as his rather dubious beard, because he seems to be the most sincere. He seemed to be a genuine man of faith, and his name is Homily, so he actually can deliver a sermon. But and I think it would be structurally nice because he's the one that's actually reasonably qualified, but he has to get it by underhand means, by giving Hobnail money to bribe the guy, and pretending that it's actually Hob when it's really him. So even good people are reduced to doing the right thing the wrong way. And I think would be a nice little irony.
Yeah, and then we end with they're really packing the songs into this act, aren't they? We've had several
late singing.
And Furor, who's just been sitting there doing naff all for most of the act. I mean, again, we've sort of gone with this. What is he really there to do? It feels deeply unsatisfying, actually, as an in theory onstage character who's watching the action. I think that the idea that he's actually in the audience makes more sense than he's anywhere else, was made yesterday by various people. That seems to be the logic, because otherwise he's just pulling focus and he's not very helpful. Alan?
Just wondering whether Furor's role in this show is actually an MC, almost.
But he's not really doing that. That's the problem. He says at the occasional aside. He popped in at the beginning. I mean, who's playing Furor? Lynn, I mean, do you feel part of the action?
No, I mean, I was for a while, but then there's a long exchange. It's just like, I'm gonna go get another cup of coffee. Yeah, so it's very unevenly distributed, his asides.
Yeah. Lois?
I would imagine that Wilde is influenced by Johnson and those onstage commentators that Johnson has in a lot of his plays. I mean, think of Every Man Out. I don't think we've done The Magnetic Lady, but anyway, there are others.
Yes, we have not done The Magnetic Lady yet, but
yeah,
there's those late Johnsons are on their way. They are coming. And yeah, the people should stop. He's perfectly stageable. You just have to do the work. Just because you don't want to do the work, you just want things box fresh, don't you? Yeah, you just want them easy. We're not here to. It's not here to be. This is why some people don't stay. You see, is they come here and then they realise that this what we do here is a proper job of work. It really is. But if you would like to join us for that, there are sign-up sheets available on the website beyondshakespeare.org. You can join us in these sessions. You'll enjoy it for the first week, and then it becomes a slog. And you really need a certain level of masochism to still be here. But if you're still convinced after I've said all that, come and join us.
Yeah, but Brian and I get the Masochism Award.
Yeah. We're still here. Right. Any other thoughts before we dive into Act 5? Okay, let's complete this bad boy, as it were. Act 5, Scene 1. Enter Furor, who presumably had to have exited, and there must be a break between acts because he's just gone off. He's come straight back on again.
A carter get a living. I'll put a spoke in his wheel. If it were Carter upon Seaton, it would have been another matter. Who of both he had better have bought the schoolmaster's place, then all would have been but a whipping still. And now he would be able to set out a psalm right without whistling, and say grace without rhymes for his heart. But see where he comes. How now, drunk. He has been preaching over a black pot already. I marvel what's become of his man homily. He is not his own man, I'm sure. Well, out to my kennel once more, and mark the catastrophe.
Oh. Just a very brief aside there. Mark the catastrophe. This person knows their structure. I'm going to go with that feels very Johnson, doesn't it? That's very Johnson. No, that's what it explicitly calls the closes of his plays. So yeah, I'll to my kennel once more. Where is his kennel? Is it on stage or is it in the audience? There's an interesting question. Anyway, that's not a discussion point. Just let that linger there. Enter Hobnail drunk with a pipe of tobacco in his mouth.
Good George, chorus tobacco. A room there for Parson Hob. Master Marpudding can be hanged ere he can do thus.
Puffs, whistles, and sings.
Come on and let's be merry, and why should we be sad? We'll have a living anon, whether it be good or bad. Whoop! Oh, well sung, Parson Hob. Sarah, boy, drive your cart that way.
He reels.
Thou'lt overthrow presently. Thou hast thy load. Hoist!
I'll have my frock dyed black, and it will make a good cassock.
Opens his primer.
I must learn to read against Sunday. Grace. Grace. Before. Before. Meat. Meat. Grace before meat. Oh, brave Dr. Hobbs. Peas porridge hot, peas porridge cold, peas porridge 9 days old. Spell that with 4 letters. First, begin with the horn book, and then go on to the primer. And so far, I'm advanced. And here, good fellows, a health to thee and a health to thee. There's no deceit in a brimmer. Why, where's my man homily? How lecherous are these black breeches the rogue lent me.
Whoops and sings.
But still she replies, good man, let it be. If ever I have any man, black coat for me. How proud am I.
Aye, your pride will have a fall presently.
You, sexton, whip the dog out of the parson's pew there.
Spew there.
Hoist there.
Falls down.
So, the living's fallen already.
Nice parson of the parish. I think the clerk is mad. The sexton chimes all in. Fie, what a lean, tight pig is this?
He fall asleep and snores.
What, cannot you be contented to fall? You must fall asleep too. It's hard rising for a churchman once he's down. Thou hadst need, I'm sure, sleep soundly. Thy coat hath not a nap this 7 year.
Enter Sir Homily.
Did ever any man serve such a master? A parson, too. Parson Hob. After went down from old Marchurch, even now Hob for joy would needs have me to the alehouse. Or after a while tippling on it soundly, I put a powder into his drink to fox him and to make him sleep securely. He steals away from me. I know he is so far gone that he cannot be gone far.
Spies him.
Ah, have I found thee? Malus pastor dormit sapinus. But it's no talking. Now, if ever good fortune stand me, this is the time that Marchurch expects him to come for the presentation. As long as I have been in town, they know not my name. They call me Sir Homily, but my name is Richmond, and that I gave him for his false name. His cloak and his false beard I'll make bold withal to disfigure me. Above half the money he hath paid, and the other shall never be paid, for he knows, and shall do better if I speed, what simony is. I'll try if I can act him and get it. And if thou hast not hanged thyself before I come again, I'll wrangle it out well enough with thee, I'll warrant thee.
And exits a homily. Before we continue, I think we should just note that this is actually quite neat. There's some nice stuff in here. This is all comedy driven through plot, and I do like it when it does that. That we have Hobnail coming in, thinking that he's actually going to be having to preach, and he's going, right, I better learn to read before Sunday. Which on one level could be mocking someone without an education, but there is something quite sweet about his earnestness, and also the fact he's been drugged. So he's there are some nice bits. Drive your cart that way, and then he reels. So it's a nice bit of physical business that's going on there as well. It's really actually quite neatly put together. That he falls asleep, and of course Sir Homily comes in and actually sort of infills the plot a bit, because he did he explain that his name was Richmond earlier? No, I don't think he did. No. So it's actually quite a clever disguised plot as they go, and actually I think it works doing it this way round. That actually you didn't need to know all of that stuff earlier, and this is a good place to put it.
No, it explains what on earth he was doing, because otherwise it doesn't make much sense. He's getting somebody else into the living, but now you can sort of see it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's actually a good plan, not just something random. So that's reassuring. So there is a sort of plot here, and it's being done, I say, through comic action, by and large.
It's interesting, that decision not to reveal it until now, though, because we've thought it was underplotted. And it could have revealed more sooner and let us felt a surer hand and decided not to.
Or they just forgot to put it in. This is a very loosely structured thing. It's throwing in just random bits of comedy business, a lot of, random songs. I'm not sure it's trying to be too tight with its plotting. Lynn, then Lois.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a shame that that time has taken away our understanding of all the punning, because I'm catching some of it, but it's just got to be thick with this stuff. Like in the previous section that we did, I had a line about taking away his precious stones. Stones, yeah. The ordinary Elizabethan slang for that bodily part. And he's talking about, I bet he's sleepy. His coat hasn't had a nap in years.
Yeah, I got that
pun that I enjoyed. Because if the nap is worn off of it because it's so old. But
call
and
that a lining.
Sorry, but there's others that we're not catching. It's just the language play is actually really fun and kind of impressive, really.
Lois.
Yeah, it's one of the best end of term skit shows in years, probably. And you can see why the guy who wrote the dedication said he'd had it around and people enjoyed reading it, and he thought everybody else would enjoy it too. I think it's also, I don't know, some of those end of term things. I actually wrote one like that once. Not like this, but I remember that there's a lot of uncertainty about who you're going to be able to get to be in it. And then if somebody comes along and says, this one involved a lot of impersonations of faculty members at my college. And so if somebody comes along and says, I'd like to do a skit of so-and-so, then you have a plot which involves lots of people coming in, and for some specious reason, so that you can keep incorporating people as they turn up. And I would guess this was done a bit like that.
Yes, and that's actually one of those key factors for this kind of thing, is the in-jokiness of it all gives you a lot more goodwill for the jokes to land than you would in a sort of more anonymous production or in a professional context, which means that doing more with this is slightly harder, because it's full of a level of in-jokes that we can never understand. actually. It's not just local, period details. It's local within a 2-mile radius details that, I say, will probably never actually fully explicate, and certainly never explain to an audience. Anyway, a lot that we're enjoying regardless, so let's see what more we get. So we've got an unconscious Hobnail. Enter a gypsy woman, as aforementioned in dialogue. Enter a gypsy woman with a child, wonder who that could be, on her back.
I wonder what's become of my tinker. This will make us good sport. Here's 20 shillings to Bows and Ken this Christmas. I hope his gold is not so light as his whore. Ah! Here's a pass. Carries all England over in spite of stocks and whipping posts.
She sings.
Sorry. Lullaby, lullaby, baby, lullaby. Sweetly sleep and sweetly slumber. Sweetly sleep and make no moan. Thee as mine I must now number. Though indeed thou art not mine own.
Not thine own. I hope it's nobody's in this company. I'll lay my life it's a chip of the old block. Marchurch super earthly, newly printed.
Oh yes, any man or woman in town or country will buy a barn.
Spies Hobnail.
Now, who's this? This is Scholar.
Aye, Mary, if all that went in black were scholars, there would be a great many more of us than there are.
Scholar as I live. I'd not taken this from the old lecture now. I should have sworn it had been thine. However, I'll look no farther for a father.
Takes the child from her back.
He's fast asleep. By the complexion of his clothes, he should have no money. I fear no colours. Search him.
Searcheth his pockets.
Oh, rich, very rich. Surely he has had 2 livings and sold one of them. I'll take your money. I'll leave you sufficient pawn here.
She lays the child by him.
I have no shoes to hang on my feet. But I should take his boots. I've known women wear the breeches. Why not the boots too? But stay. You smell at him. Hang him, he smells of drink. He's full enough. I'll up with him.
She pulls off his boots.
Hey, a right scholar. He wears them but for want of stockings. I'll in change with him. He'll make legs better by half in my shoes than in his boots. Come, hang it, he shall have the skin too. I'll cover him with this sheet.
An incomparable good plot. God a mercy, a little commedia. If the basket maker were here, he might now make a cradle.
I'll stay to put them on here till I've got further. Look you, gentlemen, if any of you have such a commodity to put off, 20 shillings is my price. Oh, you see kindly, this is the last time of asking.
Exit Gypsy, going once, going twice, going thrice. Hobnail wakes and stretches himself.
Come, hostess. What's to pay?
Starts up.
My boots. Where the deuce have I been barefoot and bare-legged? Oh, my beard's gone. My false beard hath deceived me. What's child? Oh, I'm undone. Sure, I brought a bed. I wondered my belly did so ache, and I was with child. Oh, what an he-whore am I? Is this the living I stood for so long? Oh, it's mine. I've heard them say that parsons have commonly first a child and then a living afterwards, and 'tis so indeed, for I remember my breeches were lecherous. Let me see. Surely it cannot be mine. Oh, yes, it is mine. Now it is mine. They say that when they have a child, they travel with it. And I warrant I travelled all night with it, and that hath worn my boots to a pair of shoes. I remember I said to Homily that I was with child till I had got the living. It's so indeed. Oh, it's mine. I doubt I did so dream of a christening tonight.
Why then, I pray you, name the child.
Stay. How can it be mine? Can a man be with child? Unless it should come with drinking. It was that. Too much drinking will make a man big-bellied. I warrant I spewed it up. Oh, what a drunken whore am I.
He feels in his pockets.
Mad. Oh, mad. Undone. My money. Why, I'm not only delivered of my child, but of my purse too. Oh, this rogue homily. What shall I do? With the steeple were in his belly, I'll hang his lousy clothes.
Puts off his clothes.
My master will see me hanged, or he will give me money again. And then this bastard of mine too. Stay, I am constable. May I not command myself to hang myself? I should have in these breeches an halter, and there's a beam will fit my turn. Here's a sheet. I'll do penance in it as I hang for my whoredom. Oh, what a drunken whore am I. Come on. Is this all the bell ropes I must have?
Enter first watchman.
Our landlord and Master Marpudding will think I am run away if I bring not my Christmas capons. I would the bones were in one of their bellies and the feathers in the other.
Nay, would he himself were a capon. Alas, poor Hob, how hard is he at his devotion.
Enter second watchman.
David Dungo, we're undone. Master Marchurch should be here before us. Come, yonder is the alehouse. Gypsies, tinkers and ballad singers roaring. And the Constable Hob, the clown, is drunk himself somewhere. Come, let's go rout 'em.
Say ye me so? I may venture my basket here till I return. Come on.
And exit watch.
I confess I deserve this death. I have been a drunkard and covetous churl, and would have cheated my master of his living. Besides, I once kissed a wench behind the stable door, and now I am a whore. Ah, Hob, thou art a whore. I did not think thou wouldst have come to this.
He puts the rope about his neck and sings.
Good people, all give ear a while to me, and let my end all your examples be. When I was drunk, then I was got with child. I bought a living, but I am beguiled. All honest men, I pray take my advice. Meddle not with parsons, not in any wise. Follow your trade, and do not soar so high, for at the last you will repent, like I. 40 good pounds in 7 years I got, but now it's gone, and money have I not to ring my bells. By this time I did hope, but now I wring my hands and hang by the rope. So now I forgive all the world, but homily.
Enter Sir Homily.
So, policy hath got that which prayers could not. I have it here. But stay, what have we here? A basket?
Looks into it.
2 fat capons and some beef for this old Marchurch. I hear a whispering in the town of a bastard of Ursley's. It must needs be his or Marpudding's. And if it be so, I'll keep him in awe. But stay, who owns this? He is not far off here.
Spies Hobnail.
How now? Parson Hob doing service in his surplice already? Why, Hob, Master Hob.
I'm a little busy. I pray, leave me.
Nay, but, master, do you not know me?
No, gentlemen. Poor Parson Hob now.
Looks on him.
A dole on thee, is it to thee? I pray, let me alone. You will cozen me of this preferment too presently.
Nay, pish, Hob, Why did you steal from me at the alehouse? For this? Where have you been?
Where? Why, committing fornication with a jug of ale, I trow. Look you here.
He points to the child.
I am a whore. I fell asleep, and when I was awaked, I found myself delivered of this bastard. My boots are gone, and my money all gone, and this sheet left me for a winding sheet. This was your plot. You would make me a parson and be hanged. Will you be my curate and do this for me?
What, hang myself? No, indeed, nor you shall not neither. Come, come.
Do you see that?
I'll lay my life this is Marchurch's bastard, however it came here. Away, fool, your child? If it be, I will keep it.
Will you?
Aye, that I will, and set all right and straight again, if I can. Help you to your money again, and take this child. Will you be a parson or a ploughman?
Parson? No, Zookers, they shall have 100 livings apiece first. Would I had my gold again.
Why then, hark you, did you fall asleep here?
Aye, drunk, like a rogue as I was.
Why, you would needs go to the alehouse, it was not my doings. And what, when thou wakest, thou foundst this child, and thy pockets picked, and thy boots gone?
Yes, marry, did I? And what of all this?
What? I smell a rat. This bastard Ceres is Ursula's. I'll venture a wager thy master got it.
How's that? Cuds duds, she was main saucy with him as ever I saw.
Nay, it is so, I warrant thee. Hear but me. Will you be contented to let me have the living if I rid you of it, and get you your money again?
Oh, will I not? Yea, and love thee all the days of my life for it.
Why, then to tell the truth, I have got it. I found thee here asleep, and took thy cloak and beard from thee, and went in thy name, and sped well. There I heard a whispering of this bastard, and Ursula could not be seen. 'Tis so, I'll warrant thee. I'll give thee good bonds for thy money, and something beside.
Yea, but I must be hanged, now or never, for I have confessed my sins.
What dost thou do with that primer? Was it thine?
Aye, 'tis mine. I got it to learn to read my letters against I should be parson.
And what, thou wouldst have made a long letter of thyself? Come, look here. This basket somebody hath left.
Peeps aside.
There are 2 capons a-going in it to your master. We'll put this chicken, too, under the capons, and leave it.
I think thou'lt prove an honest man.
Aye, aye. Come, pull your blockhead out of your noose.
Pulls out his head.
So, shall I live?
Aye, and richly.
Why, then, I will unconfess all my sins again. I never was a drunkard, nor covetous, nor parson, nor kissed anybody behind the stable door. Not I.
Come now, look you here, sir.
He puts the child into the basket.
These black coats can put off children to other men. How I shall laugh anon when I am hob again to see Marchurch have an heir. Mar pudding will knock it in the head within 2 days if it offer to eat anything. And will you give me your bond for my money too?
Aye, that I will.
Come on, Sirrah Hob. You are a rogue, but I will let you live a while longer.
Go thou into my house and put on my boots. By that time I'll come, but I'll scout here a while to see what this basket will do.
I'll go, but stay. If you give me bond, I must have witnesses. I'll go no further. Pray, gentlemen, set your hands to it. Methinks this is better than making out of hand with myself by half.
Exit Hobnail. Homily remains.
What a fool was this? If men should hang themselves when they are cheated of their money, what dangling would there be this Christmas? No sooner parson, but suspended. I will be honest. The clown shall have all his money again. But this primer shall go in to teach the baby, too.
I'm going to pause you there before you say wished, because I think just before we get to the very final conclusion, we should genuinely praise this sequence. This is very nicely done, and it is again, it's feeding off older forms, some very old forms here, but just Hobnail's logic.
Yes.
Of working through how he's got pregnant. He kissed someone once. Oh, and then he got drunk and vomited up a child. And all of this stuff. It is so nicely structured. And all of the stuff with the gypsy coming on. Of just going, oh, I've got this. And then, oh, shall I steal it? Oh, I'll take his boots as well. I'll take his stockings. I'll put them on off stage. It's going to be a bit difficult to put them on stage. And the talking to the audience is quite nicely done throughout this as well. It is a really, really nicely structured conclusion, or almost conclusion, to the story that we've had set up. And I'm really now starting to feel there's a production here I can wrestle with, because we're not having awkward conclusionitis of a play. The ending so far is feeling quite tight, even though we've dispensed with a couple of characters from earlier. I'm really liking what he's doing here. Lois.
Yeah, it is a very funny scene. The only thing that puzzles me is that bit where Hobnail says to the audience, "Pray, gentlemen, set your hands to it." He seems to be asking for applause, but it's not the end of the play yet.
Is it to do with the rope? Alan.
No, it's set your hand as witnesses.
Yeah.
Witness the document.
Yeah, but it's a pun, surely. I mean, references to your good hands and so on are always pun, applaud, please.
Yeah, I just love the fact that Hobnail basically does some a scaffold ballad, and it's quite a good song as well. I mean, it's quite nicely done. It's so dark as well as being quite really funny at the same time, and I absolutely love that. Lynn.
Yeah, but funny. It's funny. Bob is such a great character. Well, I'm constable. I guess I gotta hang myself now.
Yeah, well, you can do it legally. That's the thing. He can. It's not suicide. It's
yeah, it's a legal execution. I
missed that.
I do find this whole sequence with Hob, and he's all celebrating drunk because I'm Parson. I got a living now, and what a funny character. It'd be very fun to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it has been suitably set up, actually. I mean, we've had 3, big scenes with Hobnail, all of which have, including this, are all a journey for him, which I quite like. Yeah. And now Sir Hobnail, it really does seem quite nice at the end, actually. He does genuinely feel like someone to root for, because he's going, I am a bit sorry that it's come to this. I didn't plan this thing to happen, obviously, but, I have slightly led you down the garden path, but, I'll get you your money back, all will be well. So he seems reasonable. Yeah, lots of good lines, most of which I can't find at this precise second in time. But anyway, structurally really nice. I really like that. So I'm just trying to find where the the return of the watch.
All right, give me a minute to find that. I've lost it.
Yes, no, it's all right. I took a moment because, of course, I stopped you mid-sentence. Enter Dungo is the easiest thing to hunt for.
Okay, I'm on it.
Okay, so wished away, please.
Wished, here comes Dungo. 'Tis as I said. I'll scout and listen.
Enter Dungo, the first watchman.
Oh, that's well. My basket is safe. Yonder is a gypsy woman at the alehouse. A pretty woman indeed, and 2 scholars which have been here for the living. They do smooth her up. She's a fortune teller too. She called me gentleman besworn, and she said I should have some ill luck come unto me. I was afraid of nothing but my capons, and they are, I see, safe enough. Now truly they are very fat. How heavy they be. However, I'll away.
Enter Marchurch.
So that cure is cured. I never met with such a clown in all my life as my new parson. He's gone to the bishop. 'Tis well the times are as they are. He will be stayed else for a dunce. Let him look to his flock. I'll fleece him, I warrant him.
Good evening to your worship.
Oh, now, neighbour, what have you there, huh?
A couple of Christmas capons for your worship. I love to keep touch.
Why, it's honestly done. Are they fat?
Fine fed fowls, if it please you.
Yet not better fed than taught. There's a primer among them that will bring you to your psalms of mercy.
Here's one, a good tender bird of your worship's own breed. Your worship may do well to keep it.
Ah, and so I will. My people, neighbour, are not at home to bid you drink. But here's a couple of pence for you. Give me the basket.
I thank your worship. I hope they will prove well and give you content. By your leave.
Exit Dungo, first watchman.
Farewell, farewell. Oh, I love this young flesh at my heart. My nephew, since the keys were gone, and he endangered to be a father, is grown to be very kind. I'll in, and Ursula is pretty hearty. She shall dress one of them, and we will be merry.
Exit Marchurch.
For mercy invention, this is even as I would have it.
Homily, Sir Homily comes forth.
This is sweet revenge. I'll now to horse and away to the bishop. When I return, if his 2 capons be alive, I'll pluck a feather with him. I'll have an order of penance for him, and make him pay Hob his money again for simony. But I hope he'll prevent all and hang himself. When I return, then shall I tend to sing. I'll take possession, and my bells shall ring. Shall ring these changes, and at every knell Marchurch shall cry. It is his passing bell. And if with bells myself I cannot deal, I pray you lend your hands to ring a peal.
And exit Sir Homily.
Why so? Is this not better than a dialogue or some stewed prunes? I'll in, and fox little Commedia's nose for this, and send you out an epilogue.
Exit Furor. We don't know who the epilogue is as of yet, but whoever I gave it to can do it now.
All's well that ends well, this though not allowed, yet like light gold, it may go in a crowd. I know the folks are pleased, they think it rare, because it glitters, but you touchstones are. Our trembling author wishes that it might rather have gone a trust than pay what's liked. Sir Homilies in his parsonage doubtful sits, lest you put in your quare impedits. Marchurch will bargain for a plaudite. If you'll strike hands, it's made. Hum, simony. His cock-queen nephew bids you, without studying, be fair conditioned and eat bread and pudding. Hob swears if he were parson, he would know whether laughs were due to him or no. The basket maker to this point will stand. In taking jest, you must not use shorthand. Nay more, the tinker, so it be by stealth, hath made him swear that he will drink your health. Your palmistry is more than the gypsy's skill can tell your fortune, whether good or ill.
And Ceres, after the epilogue, speaks from above.
Looking for barley here, I hope you found, with Aesop's cock, some jewel on the ground. And if you have, truth, let it so appear like jewels, let each word hang on your ear. The sport was innocent, and if I'd had a worthier stage, I should have been more glad. Howe'er, these shall be welcome to this place each year, and Ceres takes it for a grace.
And thus ends the text. So yeah, we have the exit of the basket with the baby in, name check of Ursula and the family within, and everything sort of just shuts down. It's like there is this potential for a bigger scene to close it all with, or a big thing, and it's more like it's done its big scene, and actually though it did feel like it was building to a final scene that would sort of resolve. We know they'll get resolved, but it's not like we see it being resolved. So it sort of feels slightly unsatisfactory, but I think in performance you can make that work. Lois.
Yeah, I was thinking that maybe during that epilogue, which name checks most of the characters, they could all come on, one after the other as they're named, which would give a chance also possibly to dramatize a bit what's happening at the end.
Yes, and maybe it gives us a few clues to some of the doublings as well, if there are any doublings. I mean, this is one of the questions. Maybe the structural reason why we don't see some people is that they're a bit too busy being somebody else. You know, maybe Ursula is basically the gypsy, etc. So there might be some logic there that actually this isn't a cast of thousands. This is actually relatively small in scale. But yeah, I have to say this is giving me a much better sense of that. I'm much happier with this now. Going, okay, well we can fill this down into a nice little show. I don't think I'd do this in full. I don't think. I think you can really whittle this down to quite a nice show that I think would be quite fun. How obscure it would be, that's an interesting question. How many jokes do you adjust? How many changes do you make? But I feel that it invites a certain amount of ad-libbing and changes because it's got et ceteras, more than one in the text. So I kind of feel that it's asking. But that final act has made me go. The catastrophe is very well done, actually, I have to say. It's a good catastrophe. And yeah, I think you could pluck the primary plot and some of the set pieces and drop some of the less successful stuff, because we've now got more of a central through line of Sir Homily and Hobnail versus Marchurch throughout the thing. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with that in the end. Any other thoughts on the ending before we go into final thoughts, Alan?
Yeah, I must admit, I'm getting the feeling to a certain extent it's a slightly rushed ending. And I'm almost getting the feeling that someone's gone round, last orders at the bar.
Yeah, I wonder whether the ending is structural, whether it's just simply, or just, we've run out. It's not the first time we'll have encountered a play where, I mean, there is one play where literally at the end they go, well, it ran on a bit, so we're just stopping it here. I mean, literally, the epilogue just says we've run out of time. The play has to end at this point. We're done. Bye. I don't think it's quite that bad, but it does feel like that maybe they've shot their bolt and they're getting out. It's not a tight structure, so I think some dramaturgy to tighten up the shape of it is needed. Lois.
Yeah, I mean, there's a precedent for that kind of ending, which is Plautus. I mean, he does have endings where somebody tells the spectators, and if you're waiting to see what's happening at the feast inside, don't, because it'll be some time now. You better just go home. And, there's that sense that, something is happening off stage and we'll just sort of leave it to your imagination.
Yeah. And yeah, I think we'll just say with a bit of work in the rehearsal room, I think the ending is will survive. And we can always put a fun jig after it, and or whatever, and keep the jollity up, because it's all about just being fun, isn't it? There are some problematic elements to the first half, but I think again they can be massaged and given a relatively light reading. Okay, final thoughts around the room. Lois, any final thoughts about this as a beast overall?
Well, yes, I like it very much. It seems to me it has two quite clear through lines. I mean, one is who's going to get this living and how, and the other one is what's going to happen to this baby, which gets passed from hand to hand in a very satisfying way and finally ends up right where it started. And it's to some extent, I think, I don't know if Middleton invented it, but in the Chase Maiden Sheepside, there is an episode like this where someone gets rid of a child by putting it under a big joint of meat, and during Lent, I think, and some people are really excited to get it and don't realize, well, they do too late what they're getting stuck with. I imagine that might be an influence on this, although there may well be a lot of others that I don't know. But I think the way that those two work together is very nice. Now, you could cut, obviously, a lot of the stuff that has to do very specifically with 1641. But if you leave some of it in, there's the sense that all of this is partly the zaniness that results from what's happening to the church at this point, which is really an attempt to change it completely, to get rid of the whole Anglican church hierarchy and replace it by something else, possibly Presbyterian. But 1641 was a really turbulent period, and for some people very exciting. It looked as if there were going to be all these reforms and the country would be a much better place, and for others it looked absolutely horrible. In fact, I think Wilde is somewhere in the middle on this, because he did eventually. I'm not sure if he was a Presbyterian at this point, but he became one. I mean, he actually lost his living under the Restoration, oddly enough, after having celebrated its coming. He eventually, I think, even ended up in jail and wrote a rather effective poem, if I remember, about this, about how he simply couldn't bring himself to take some oaths that you had to take, I think, in about 1666, and so he had quite a conscience. So he is probably, somewhat divided on this. I mean, basically, he thinks it's crazy, all these things they're trying to do, but he's not as unsympathetic as he might be.
Yes, and you think actually the sort of amorality of what's going on in this story. I mean, there is an illegitimate baby that and there's no marriage at the end and sorting it all out. I mean, there's sort of he's going to be left holding the baby, but precisely how and all of those things, they're not resolved. Actually, they're sort of hinted at a resolution, and we as we've gone further into the 17th century, we keep going, oh, this is pushing, and maybe this is as far as you're going to get until we hit the Restoration, where things are a lot more open for business, for that kind of logic. Lynn, any final thoughts?
Yeah, there are moments of this that I really, really enjoyed. I mean, some of it's really funny. But it really helps to be familiar with the historical context. So, I mean, I think it would be like you were talking about, Rob, a sort of pared down version. I'm not sure the induction works anymore, that kind of thing. But it would be I think a wonderful little sketch at an academic conference of early modern history or early modern literature. Even medievalists, I think, would probably get this, or Enlightenment scholars would know enough about the historical context to get the jokes and the puns and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not really quite sure what to do with it, but there were moments of much amusement. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I've sort of tacked a little away from that myself, because I'm thinking that there actually is enough here that you can make work. The context drives that you don't need necessarily detail. There will be a lot of jokes that will fall by the wayside, but I think there's enough surviving here that could be followed. I still think with a lot of paring down, this is not, it will be half the length of what it is here. I'm also torn now about the induction, because actually now we've got to the end, the induction feels more part of it, though the idea that maybe the induction is actually a red herring and throws you in the wrong direction is still perhaps valid. I definitely think that can be done in isolation. I think a lot of these scenes could possibly be done in isolation as exercises to test how effectively they function. And that's one of the things that we might be looking at as we do more live shows, is if we have sort of pre-shows where we just throw random bits of material and see whether anyone knows what the hell we're talking about. Because that's sort of an interesting question about, in a totally unprepared way, what will an audience actually take? And because a lot of the time we're just spitting in the wind and we don't know what's going to come back in our faces, or which things are going to fly. That was a terrible. Similar. I'm going to move away from that one. Alan, any final thoughts?
I must admit, I think to a certain extent, what you're doing is reverse engineering how this was created by suggesting you take sections out of it and do them separately. Because the whole thing, to me, has a feeling that this was a series of routines which maybe pre-existed, and there was just enough of a plot constructed to try and hold them together into something that looked vaguely cohesive. A lot of these felt to me very much like, Fred over there, yes, he does a good pompous Puritan, and so does a good papist, and so likes his Latin puns. And now how can we stitch this together into something that will entertain a group of friends? Because I don't think this ever could have been a public performance beyond the college hall.
Yeah, I mean, they keep talking about a barn, as Lois pointed out the other day. It still seems to be there, so unless that's just the name they had for the thing, I don't know if it's about pre-existing things. I think they're definitely creating material that fits different individuals. The whole thing is derivative. I mean, that's the thing. In that sense, like we were talking about Panto last time about, is this the first instance of this kind of scene? All of this material, I think, probably derives from somewhere else. I don't think Robert Wilde is being original, but he is derivatively pulling things together. But actually, on the hot, he has just about got enough plot here actually to hang it together. Whether the plot's original or not, I don't know. And all of those things, there's a lot more work to do on that. But I think that sense of pulling material from all over the place is right. Though I don't know if I say any of it really pre-existed within the community that created this. I'll go back to Lois before I go to Brian for final thoughts.
Yeah, what puzzles me is just what Ceres is doing in this, and why she's given the last word. It seems curiously anticlimactic, and there must be some topical reason for it.
There might be some bits missing, of course. I mean, we don't know that what got printed, because it was printed quite a long time after. This is printed as an example of somebody's younger work. So there might be more in that closing sequence and just the whole nature of Ceres. It feels like it's built around a costume rather than necessarily a dramatic purpose. Certainly, I would give it a ridiculous costume if we were doing it today, just to get a guaranteed initial laugh. Winching slowly down. We haven't done the winch for a while. Down comes Ceres. Anyway, Brian.
You were commenting on the induction, and I was thinking, of course, one would be tempted to cut it. On the other hand, it did alert us early on to the fact that this is, if it was willing to spend a whole act on silliness before it even began anything that was like a plot, that turned out to be a valuable signal that set us off in the right direction. And from the very beginning, we were saying, oh, it's much more interested in the comedy than the plot. And the kind of oddly, the extension of the silliness at the beginning partly prepares you for and justifies the curtailing of the plot at the end. It's all of a piece. And we had its number at the beginning, and it was what it offered, and it stuck to itself, and it was true to its own little genius. And it delivered very nicely with a plot that turned out to be a little better thought out than we sometimes feared. I would say, too, oh, these are just small points. For me, hearing Ceres deliver that epilogue in Portland it would make it topical, because we long lament the lack of good venues in Portland. We're constantly doing theaters in a little black room somewhere with no backstage, and that Ceres speech is meant for that. And finally, I'll just a note with amusement that I haven't been with this group that long. I haven't read that many plays. The one this reminds me of is Birth of Merlin, because it has a miraculous birth in it.
Yes, there's so much I enjoyed today, and I'm so pleased because I was on the fence yesterday, and now and the curse of the final session has not struck. So this is always nice. So we have come, however, to the end of this session with this set of wonderful readers, as I said earlier, in a slightly light-hearted way. You can join us. There are sign-up forms online at beyondshakespeare.org, and we just meet every week, usually, and several times a week. If you're available, you can come and join us. We will send you scripts and issue parts, and if you want to read, you can read. And if you don't want to read, you don't have to read. You can just sit in the background and put things in the chat that nobody else will ever see again. But all that remains, thank all the wonderful readers for all their wonderful reading. Thank you very much, everyone, and goodbye. Committing fornication with a jug of ale.